Game collections. Stuff. The random video topic for today. I guess the question is, why do people start game collections? Aside from tax write-offs, or collecting all the copies of Skyrim on the PS5 and Series X, that's kind of why we don't have Skyrim on those consoles. You know, I guess just burning them all is kind of the best idea. Oh wait, I wasn't supposed to admit that I did that. Okay, scratch everything I've said then. So game collections, yeah, they're a thing. A ton of things that people do. So of course the question is, what about a game collection is really so interesting to do? Now, I do want to state that I do know other YouTubers have done this video, most notably Scott the Was. I was actually watching him yesterday, and that kind of gave me a bit of a, I guess, quarter-life crisis. I know it's not as close to midlife crisis, but it kind of made me wonder, should I even do this video? Because, well, I normally try to talk about original stuff. Which is ironic, because I review a bunch of games that people have already reviewed. Okay, so, scratch that. But yeah, so game collections. They're kind of cool. They're fun. They're a hassle. So, I guess this is my thoughts on collecting games. Is it fun? Is it worth it? Are you just gonna get like 10 copies of Skyrim for like the PS4? I mean, yeah, you could have tried 9, but like 9's the worst number ever, so, you know, 10's right. So, I mean, sure, on Xbox, yeah, you might get 11 copies, because, I mean, Xbox games are cheaper than McDonald's at this point. They also make good cup holders. Okay, so jokes aside, yeah, game collections, they're definitely fun. I collect a bunch of games. I collect games on consoles no one really cares about, like the PS4. Okay, jokes aside, I'm not gonna rag on PlayStation a lot in this video, but I collect a bunch of games on a bunch of different consoles, and this already causes a huge issue, because I need somewhere to put all the copies of Skyrim I've had. And I need cup holders for all the Wii U stuff I got. And I need a flamethrower to set all the Wii stuff on fire. Jokes aside, yeah, collecting games, it's definitely an interesting hobby. So I guess, now that I've dragged out this video for way too long, what is a game collection? I mean, because you can't just get, like, 2 copies of Skyrim and call it a game collection. I mean, you can if you live in Wyoming. You know, I think anything passes over there. I mean, you get a copy of Grand Theft Auto and you're set for life. But if you get Call of Duty, yeah, they're gonna kick you out of state, because, you know, Call of Duty is like the most mid thing ever. But of course, game collections, for me, I guess I would categorize them as if you have more than 10 games. 5 games, yeah, that's a warning sign. That just says that they're gonna collect more games. And if they're all copies of Skyrim, you just want to run away from this person. If you have 10 copies of Skyrim, like how many copies I have now, that's completely fine. That person's completely sane. If they have like 7 copies of Skyrim on the Xbox, though, you actually want to run away from that person, because they're clearly something else at this point. But of course, obviously, I guess, let's get back to game collection. Yeah, so I kind of see a game collection as being like about 10 games or over. That usually seems like the fair amount of games to collect. You know, that's I guess, how I would see a game collection. Just, you have 10 games, and that's just a good start to a game collection. 20, you're definitely a game collector. But if you have, like, a bunch of consoles that you yourself are collecting for, that's definitely a game enthusiast. I don't know. Yeah, you could disagree. It could be like 200 games. Yeah, that's a game collector. Or a future serial killer. I don't know. I don't even know if I'm... Honestly, I think I am at that limit. So that joke actually really hurts to make now. So jokes aside, yeah. What is intriguing about a game collection? Is it fun? Can it be fun? honestly, I think what makes the game collection fun is collecting the games and playing them and making memories from them. Now, there's two types of game collectors I want to talk about in this video. Game collectors that play the games, and game collectors that just collect the games for the sake of collecting them. Now, obviously, you could probably wonder, why would people just simply buy games if they're never gonna play them? Isn't that just odd? Well, I know I thought that myself at first, but honestly, some people just want to collect games because they're really interesting. And some people just want to collect the games because the games themselves might be generally fun to play. And some of these people probably started off collecting these games because, it might have been fans of them in general. With me, I started collecting games because of Pokemon. That's what I started collecting them for. I was a huge Pokemon fan, and still am. And so I started collecting all the Pokemon games, and that allowed me to really dive deeper into game collecting. I eventually was able to start collecting other stuff like Call of Duty or Grand Theft Auto, and so that kind of really did help me get into that. I'd also say stuff with Skyrim. I mean, with how fun Skyrim was, I started getting it on like most consoles I've had. Like, at this point, I have Skyrim on every console, or at least I have it on every console it can be played on. PS3, I have that. Both the Vanilla Edition and Legendary Edition. Now, sure, it's called the Legendary Edition because it's legendary with how bad that game is, but I have the Legendary Edition on the Xbox 360, which is a slightly better version than the PS3 version. I have it on PS4 and Xbox One, which is a slightly better version than that version. And I have it digitally on the Series X and the PS5, which is actually surprisingly ran pretty well, except for all the times it crashed on me when I was recording all the Skyrim playthroughs and making me lose a bunch of hours. Am I still frustrated about this? Will this constantly ruin my life and prevent me from making meaningful relationships? And will this be responsible for me getting Skyrim again when it comes on Switch and PS5? Well, PS6, or whatever they call it next? Yeah, honestly, it would be kind of funny if the new Xbox is called the PlayStation 6, and PlayStation is called it the PlayStation something Xbox, just to confuse people. And at least that's funny to me. I don't know, I have a twisted imagination. I don't even know what my point was anymore, but yeah, so people start off collecting games that they might enjoy. Now, sure, you might have other people that just might collect games because they want to collect a game. They might take a look at Assassin's Creed, and yeah, they might not run away from that, but they might think it's pretty cool. They might take a look at a copy of San Andreas on the Xbox and think that's cool and might pick it up. And with me, I do this a few times. I have a copy of Vice City on Xbox. I have a copy of Resident Evil, the Director's Cut on PlayStation 1. Will I ever play Xbox Vice City? I mean, probably not. I do have the Definitive Edition on both the PS4, 5, and Switch. But it was one of those games I saw, and I'm like, yeah, I just feel like this should be in my collection because it's generally kind of a cool game. And I think that is how it looks with quite a few people, actually. Is that they actually might just take a look at these games and generally want to have them in the collection. Whether or not they play them is a different story, and that's honestly okay. Not everyone needs to play any games that they get. I mean, I've seen some people who just simply get a game just to collect it. I've seen people who would go out of their way just to find a game that they really enjoy or something. Like, I've technically done it before myself, with stuff like Pokemon. And I've technically have done it with Skyrim before. Now, of course, honestly, I guess another thing that could be interesting is, are they still game collectors if they only do digital? Or do you have to collect physical games to be a game collector? I've not heard this argument before, but I would want to say, honestly, however you collect games is how you collect games. If you only get games digital, you're still a game collector. If you only buy physical, you're a game collector. Doesn't really matter how you get them. It really just matters is if you have fun with the hobby. Some people might want to play these games, others might not. With me, I personally am more of a physical collector these days. I don't mind digital games. They're definitely fun, but it's also nice being able to just pick up a box. Like I'll take Batman the Telltale series, for example. It's nice to pick up that box, take a look at it, and just see what the whole game is about. I think that's also another thing why I do like game collecting. And is, of course, the physical box art. Sure, digital games have some really cool art too. Don't get me wrong. I do think some digital game covers are a lot better than the physical ones. Call of Duty Vanguard, I actually think I like that one a bit more. Obviously, then you have some that are just kind of straight up just slightly worse. Like Advanced Warfare, at least on PS4, Advanced Warfare is just a giant AW, and that's really it. And sometimes it's better on a different console. Like, I think on the Xbox One, I think the game actually has a different digital cover. But, that's besides the point. And more likely, I will probably talk about game covers another time. So, of course, obviously, I guess, what are the downsides for game collecting? Is it worth it? Is there issues with it? Well, I guess, there are some issues in regards for digital game collecting or physical game collecting. Yes, of course, physical game collections, they take a long time. Well, they can take up a lot of space. And that's kind of an issue. Same thing with digital ones. Not every game is 100 gigabytes. But if you want to collect digital games, it definitely can be kind of an issue. Simply because these do take up space. Well, a lot of space, either digital or physical, and you might need to find some extra storage. Or you might just have to get a bookshelf or something. Not to mention, physical game collecting can also kind of be a bit of a pain. And that, of course, does come from the fact that, sometimes the cases themselves might not be in pristine condition. I've had this issue before. Not all the time, but enough to the point where, it definitely has gone noticeable. So, I guess to really wrap up my thoughts with this video, is game collecting worth it? I feel like it really boils down to the person in question. Yeah, it's not for everyone, but I do know that there are going to be some people that, yeah, they generally might enjoy game collecting. Others might not. And that's perfectly okay. With me, personally, I love game collecting. It's always fun getting to play new games. Yeah, whether or not these games themselves are fan favorites or even good, really just boils down to whoever plays them. I mean, I I play a lot of Call of Duty, but at the same time, I also know a lot of people who generally do not like Call of Duty. Actually, I take back what I said about Vanguard. Its digital cover is actually a lot better. I think they actually changed it back onto the PS4, so it's not. Okay, yeah. So it actually looks a lot better. But yeah, so I guess that also could be another point. Sometimes, uh, going back to whether or not digital is better, I will get into this at another time, but yeah, sometimes finding a digital game might be a little easier than a physical one. I personally find both to be valid. If you just get physical games, cool. If you want to get digital games, that's still pretty cool. Really, what it all boils down to is whether or not you have fun, and I think that's what matters a lot. But of course, I guess that's really all I have to say for this one. I of course do plan to do more videos like this in the future. Yeah, I also do plan to talk more about the game collection. Yeah, I might talk about some of my favorites in the collection, why I got them. Yeah, it really just depends on just how it does go. But of course, thank you for watching. It means a lot to have people tune into these videos, even if it's just me rambling about a topic. And of course, I hope all of you have a wonderful day. And as always, I will of course be back with a brand new video next time.